Welcome to the Showdown in the Badlands, where there ain't enough room for all the bad cards in this here town. And let's start with the champion of the worst card in this set, Showdown. It's 2 mana. Both players summon 3/3/3 outlaws. Give yours rush. Well, I'll be. Tarnation, that is in fact a symmetrical effect where you both get 9/9 worth of minions for 2 mana. So the clear advantages you have here is your guys have rush, which means your guys can deal with the better guys than them. You certainly don't want to trump trade your outlaws into their outlaws. That would be ridiculous. And yet, oftentimes, that'll be the best play. Which means Showdown is ludicrously bad. Now, the point of Showdown is you're supposed to play this when your opponent's got near a full board, so they don't get all the outlaws, or to play it alongside Prismatic Beam. 7 mana, deal 3 damage to all enemies, costs 1 less for each enemy minion. So this perfectly kills the Showdown minion. So the combo here is you play Showdown, and maybe your opponent had 4 minions, so then they have 7 minions, so your Prismatic Beam costs 0. And then you send your 3 guys. Well, I mean, then you've played 2 mana to. Then you've played. Then you've paid 2 mana in order to get 9/9 worth of stats and discount your Prismatic Beam by 3. What a bargain! Wow. Cool. Unfortunately, Control Paladin's in a really bad spot right now. Sure, they have that Earthen deck where you summon a bigger and bigger guy over time, but that's not really, catching too much attention. I just don't think that this sort of board control type of tool is useful for. I mean, it's good for Control Paladin. It's just that it's not good enough to make Control Paladin be on the board. This isn't necessarily what they needed. The other Showdown, will you believe that they printed 2 cards that actually synergize with Showdown? The other card is Deputization Aura, 3 mana holy spell. Your leftmost minion has +3 attack and lifesteal last 3 turns. This means if you deputize and then you play Showdown, you can gain 18 life because you'll summon these 3 outlaws. They'll rush in. They'll have 6. There'll be 6 threes with rush apiece. So neat, cute, very adorable. Just not really good at all. So that was adorable. The Deputization Aura is a holy spell. Another holy spell is Lay Down the Law. Now, this is actually a really good Control Paladin card. 2 mana holy spell, tradable. Set a minion's attack and health to 1, quick draw, then deal 1 damage to it. So it's a 2 mana kill guy if you draw it. And you can trade it away, which means, if you didn't draw it and didn't need to immediately do it, you can cycle it and then someday hope to top deck it just when you need it. And the card isn't bad just by itself. 2 mana to, deal a bunch of damage because you set a high health minion to 1. Or, just use this to pull down the opponent's minion. You don't really have to kill it. It's just a 1/1 for a lot of stats-based minions. So, good control card. It's a shame that there's no good Control Paladin decks. So let's take a look at the holy synergy here. We got the 2 mana 2/1 Divine Shield Dragon with Death Rattle Draw Holy Spell. Excellent card, actually. I think this will fit into Pure Paladin, which is or aggressive Paladins. And there exist Paladins out there that want to have a 2 mana 2/1 Divine Shield. And ones that draw Holy Spell. It's just good. That's a good card. Should see play in all the Paladins. You got Holy Cowboy, 3 mana 4/3 Battlecry. Your next holy spell costs 2 less. A lot of holy spells are being run that cost around 2 right now, so it's kind of like a 1 mana 4/3. More like a 3 mana 4/3, which, well, what can I say? Discounts the holy spell by 2. Reasonable. So, those are all pretty sweet. Let's get to the hilarious part. So there's a package for Hand Paladin in this set, which I never would have imagined. So let's take a look at the Badlands Bandits. 6 mana, get 8 3/2 bandits with bonus effects. Any that can't fit in your hand are summoned instead. So let's imagine you're the control paladin, because that's the type of deck that's going to want to run this, a value paladin, something like that. Let's suppose you therefore have 6 cards in your hand. I'm counting the Badlands Bandits. So you play the Badlands Bandits and you have 5 cards in your hand, which means you'll summon 3/3/2s for 6 mana, and they have bonus effects, which are the usual Divine Shield, Taunt, Rush, Wind Fury, Stealth, Poisonous, Lifesteal, Reborn. So 9/6 worth of stats for 6, and you generated 5 cards into your hand, which are all 2 mana 3/2. So that's a happy little value card. But if you've watched the previous videos in the Badlands series, you've probably paid attention to me noting that these kinds of slow value cards just aren't really cutting it this day and age. And similarly, I don't think the Badlands Bandits is going to cut it. It does synergize with these big hand paladin cards. You got Living Horizon, a 10 mana 4/6 taunt Divine Shield, costs 1 less for each other card in your hand. In that example, where it was turn 6 with this card, and you had 6 cards in hand, including the Living Horizon, this would be 5 mana less. So it's 5 mana 4/6 taunt Divine Shield. Not very exciting. And that's when you have 6 cards in hand, which is a pretty reasonable amount of hand to have. So you really need to play into this big hand paladin in order for this to be discounted enough to be good. Yeah, that's pretty tough to pull off. I don't really see it happening. You got Lawful Long Arm, a 5 mana 1/5 rush lifesteal battlecry, gain +1 attack for each card in your hand. So in the case again where you have 6 cards in your hand and then Lawful Long Arm, you can play this for 5 mana 6/5 rush lifesteal, which just isn't good enough. So clearly you need to have way more cards in your hand than my scenarios lay out, and for that to happen you need to be a pretty dedicated value control paladin, and you didn't really get the tools in this set to have that happen. So I don't really see this happening, but the Highlander card is built specifically for that type of deck. Spirit of the Badlands. It's the Spirit of the Badlands, providing us with all the bad cards. 3 mana, 3/4 Undead Beast. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, get a permanent Mirage. The Mirage, at the start of your turn, transforms into a copy of a minion in your deck. The way this works is it transforms into a minion. You can play that minion, and then that's your minion for the turn. That's your use of Mirage for the turn. And then the next turn, it'll transform into another minion. So you can't play the minion multiple times. Blah, blah, blah. Clearly a really good card if your deck has no duplicates, but to play a deck that has no duplicates in order to run Spirit of the Badlands, I'm not entirely sure that there's enough good control paladin cards out there. If there are, the payoff isn't strong enough to make it Highlander and then not run the good cards in 2-ofs, such as Lay Down the Law. So it's tough. It's a good card, payoff's decent, but it's not really good enough to want to build a Highlander paladin deck. So there you have it. That's the Spirit of the Badlands. It's full of slow value cards, which is actually a great set. And if the general power level of sets in this meta were lower, I think this would be a really good direction for the game to go. And it's possible that they are tilting the direction of the game towards slow value over time cards, which would be wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that. This might be like the first set where they try to slowly turn the boat towards, hey, we're not going to OTK, we're dodging away from that, we're going for long games, we're going for value oriented games. That would be pretty sweet. I'd love that. But until then, I'd say the only card we're really seeing here is Hi-Ho Silverwing, the 2 mana 2/1 Divine Shield, which draws a Holy Spell, which is once again expanding how good card draw is going to be defined. That's a 2 mana 2/1 Divine Shield with a draw a good card attached to it. So that's pretty good. It's really good. And that's about the only good card I see here. The only card that I think we'll see play. And I'm not calling the other cards bad. I'm just saying that the support for a control paladin, I believe, doesn't currently exist. I am, however, calling this card laughably bad, and I do find it really funny that this card is in this set. An epic confrontation, an epically bad card. Wow. Okay, all that's left is a few remaining cards. This is 132 cards revealed. So the cards that haven't been revealed that we're going to see at BlizzCon are the Rogue Legendary, the Mage Legendary, and Reno, the Neutral Highlander. Reno, the Neutral Highlander, could actually be a game changer, depending on how strong it is. But I'm really curious as to why the Mage and Rogue Legendary haven't been revealed. Weird. Interesting. We'll take a look at those in the at BlizzCon. Oh, and I forgot Warrior. Uh, we have one more class to reveal. It's the Warrior. I will be at BlizzCon, so this Warrior reveal will probably be a little bit late. Traveling to BlizzCon November 2nd. Cool. I'm just used to the sets being 135 cards, which is why I forgot the Warrior class. Sorry, Warrior. Sorry, Warrior. Not sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be at BlizzCon. It's gonna be fun. We'll see why the Rogue and the Mage card weren't revealed. Exciting.